Sorry, I couldn't come in person because I was booked for a visa late around October, which means I wouldn't be able to come for this conference. Hence, the video presentation plus other things. But I'm hoping that to do good for the things I wanted to probably present to my august audience. Thank you very much. Now, the presentation. I'm Professor P.Y Adjei from the Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology, Kumasi, Ghana, West Africa. I'm presenting a paper on the two major food and industrial intercrops, cocoa, citrus, a positive step to partly control hunger and alleviate poverty, induce organic agriculture, and control climatic change. Introduction. Wessel and Gessmer opined that in the face of fluctuating cocoa prices and limited resources of cocoa farmers, it could be attractive to develop cocoa production systems which use low inputs and economically beneficial shade trees that will provide such benefits as timber, fruits, fuelwood, medicine, and others to diversify farmers' benefits and income from the farm. In a research conducted by Asare on other cocoa farmers fields in Ashanti and western regions of Ghana, farmers recommended some plant species situated among their cocoa farms as of economic importance. Now, some of these were valuable timber species as Cyber, Petandra, Tecropon, and then Terminalia arborensis, and other fruit crops or trees such as Mangifera indica, popularly known as mango, Persia americana or avocado pear, and Cocos nispera or coconut, and others. Some of the plants regenerated as farms were made, and others were consciously planted by the farmers. Some of the trees were felled, and others were just crops interspersed in the farms, and normally the farmers use them as fruit crops. Some were sold for cash. What is intercropping, and what is important about intercropping? Now, intercropping of food crops such as maize, plantain, cassava takes place for 3 to 5 years while cocoa trees mature. The farmer has plans to generally grow cocoa as a cash crop. Osiru and Ezuma found that some cassava-based intercrops gave a consistently higher yield advantages than sow or monocropping. Intercropping has been very profitable. Some intercrops have advantages of increasing root, therefore mining to deeper areas to give crops more nutrients. Others have been seen to be more efficient in photosynthesis. And as desertification continues, many millions of people will be affected. And that means that something must be done about desertification and our cropping system. Some have opined that, or some believe that polyculture, that is intercropping or cropping many plants at the same time, can be the solution to desertification. And it had Shaka and Devian also found out that mulberry, which is intercrop with pulso cereals and oil seeds and vegetables, gave a much better yield in terms of the silkworm growth, and then per unit area there was much increases in the leaf number and then leaf texture. Now let's look at global climatic change. Climatic change is real. It means that temperatures are increasing over the years, and it's emphasized that about 55% of global gas emissions will occur mostly through carbon dioxide emissions. Now, global warming is expected to rise by 0.5 degrees centigrade to over 2.5 degrees centigrade in 40 years' time. That by 2050. This means that monocropping might not be beneficial to some crops and probably to cocoa, which is an understory crop. So what makes citrus and cocoa intercropping unique to be a more economically viable venture? Now, a tropical rainforest in which cocoa finds itself is a very wet place, and it receives heavy rainfall and sunshine, and temperatures are higher, between 20 and 35 degrees centigrade. Now, the rainfall in many sometimes centimeters. Now, there are 4 distinct layers of the tropical rainforest. Now, we have the first layer, the second layer. The first layer crops are well interspersed, but the second layer crops which grow under the first layer normally have the canopies which normally touch each other. Now, the third layer, which we call the understory, is where cocoa finds itself. And then it has been found that shade cocoa does better, clay 204, than cocoa which is grown without much shade, and that uses much agrochemicals, which means that something must be done with cocoa. Now that's why farmers grow these cocoa plants with so many types of trees. But like I said earlier, economic trees are normally felled, and therefore the farms can be destroyed. I mean, if the farmers intersperse some of these crops, some of the cocoa plants with certain plant species, it might not be very beneficial. Let's give you an example. If the farmer tries to grow mango in a cocoa farm, and it happens that he might have to prune, the mango is called a terminal bearer. As you can see, the flowers are born outside the canopy. So if a farmer wants to prune the canopy by the sides, it means you cut away much flower, which will affect next season cropping. Now, citrus is a lateral bearer. That means that the crops are born within the canopy. So if it happens that you might have to do pruning, it wouldn't affect the crop and the canopy very much. So if you compare these two crops even alone, it becomes more beneficial to grow the citrus in the cocoa to give it some shade than growing mango in the cocoa. Let's give a brief outline of what cocoa is and what it does. It's a major crop cultivated in the tropical regions of West Africa, the Caribbean, South America, and Asia. Now, in West Africa, it's over 70% of where cocoa is produced. And it goes to about 7.3% of GDP in Ghana, or of Ghana. That is very, very important. And 16.5% of the general GDP. So cocoa in Ghana is very, very important. Governments don't joke with it. Now, if you look at the African map, the dark area is where you find Ghana. It's in West Africa. In fact, it's economically important. Ghana is the second largest producer of cocoa in the world and offers livelihood for over 700,000 farmers in the southern tropical country. Now, at present, its main use is a source of material for cocoa powder and chocolate. Now, a very important byproduct of this multi-billion-dollar industry is the cocoa butter, which is heavily used in the cosmetics and the pharmaceutical industries. Now, let's look at citrus. It's also a tropical and subtropical crop produced also in the warm, temperate regions. Now, it also suits well-drained soils and with the same probably pH range as cocoa. Now, the health benefits of citrus are very important. Dietary fiber, vitamins, minerals, and a whole lot of things, carotenes, and phytochemicals. It produces antioxidants, which are very important. to the human body. What are the methods used to try to elucidate some of the facts from this intercrop? Now, this was a crop planted. The goal was interspersed between major two crops, oil palm and then citrus. Now, when weeds were growing, it was found out that cocoa, with much experience, cocoa tried to suppress weeds. So cocoa was just planted within the two major crops. From time they were fertilized together with the citrus. Now, fertilization ranged from 1.8 to 4.6 NPK using granules. Sometimes foliar fertilizer was also used. Now, results show that cocoa seedlings in the intercrop of the oil palm were better established compared to the citrus. This is because it is known that oil palm give much shade compared to citrus plants. So when the citrus canopy were growing and then closing, then the seedlings of the cocoa that were dying stopped and it was established well. Now, as time went on, Table 1 shows some of the things that were realized. If we look at the problem accompanied with normally some of these cropping systems, compare cocoa oil palm intercrop, compare cocoa citrus intercrop, and then so cocoa, you see that weeds diminish when the cocoa was intercrop. In the oil palm, the same thing happens to the citrus. And then cocoa also control weeds when after it is well established. Now, if you talk about mirrors, it's a major cocoa problem. Mirrors infection were consistent in the intercrop with oil palm, but mirrors infection went down, and then this is a major problem when soy cocoa is grown, unless you give it a major pesticide application. Black pod cocoa was also more occurrence. Black pod in cocoa more occurrence under the intercrop with oil palm, but the fungal disease was reduced in the intercrop with citrus. And cocoa, you have to produce a lot of chemicals. Now, tannin, no citrus plant was removed, but under the oil palm, before I could see that those major problems reduced, most of the oil palm seedlings were removed before we could see that. Now, canopy pest, which is called metathel, which is normally found on cocoa canopy, were reduced. In fact, the metathel preferred to be on the citrus plants than on the cocoa. Now, for cocoa production, pod production, only about 20% of the total pods came from the oil palm cocoa intercrop. Major of them came from the citrus cocoa intercrop. Now, in practice, cocoa has been known to control various weeds on the ground when it is well established from 8 years going. But weed control can be done only when it is well established. Now, relative to the other plants, oil palm and then citrus, the weeds were being controlled as the canopies were grown, and then the cocoa became more established under these two crops, oil palm and the others. Now, it has been realized that ants on the citrus were a major controller of the major cocoa pests, which we call mirrors. Now, if we look at the cocoa which was grown with the citrus, you see how the pods look like. More yellowish, more beautiful. If we compare this with oil palm, which is grown, cocoa which is grown under oil palm, you can see the effect of the mirrors. They have that black pods, that black pinches, and we see the from the cocoa. They are not nice. The pods are not nice compared to those that were grown under the citrus. You see the difference. When most of the oil palm, you can see that when most of the oil palm were removed, then the mirrors infection and the other infection by the black pod reduced. So you can see from this that there's always a good thing. Now, if you look at the economic importance of economic analysis of the intercrop with citrus. Now, citrus flowers, especially the late Valencia, the Valencia crop, flowers in two major times. Now, the first flower production happens in February, March, and then the harvest go into December or January or March the following year. The second batch of production occurs in September, October, and harvest comes from April, May, or June the following year. Now, an average tree of 10 years old produces about more than 1,000 fruits. Assuming an average tree bears 2,000 fruits, which is quite medium. At the farm gate, the farmer gets roughly 250 Ghana cedis per tree. And the 113 plants which are planted at that time will give, at the current rate of 4.7 Ghana cedis to $1, will earn a farmer $5,851 in the major December-January season. Now, the second minor season, May-June, will give the farmer, if you take 1,000 fruit per tree, the farmer gets 125 Ghana cedis per tree. Now, the 110 trees will give roughly $2,925. So, in addition, a total of $8,776 will give the farmer, and this is more profitable for other ordinary crop because the citrus plant bears very, very, very well. That's why the lily Valencia. Now, if you look at when the cocoa intercrop started to bear from 2006 to 2017, the year 2006 we had 11 pods, and this increased systematically till 2017 when there was about 15 bags. The farmer could realize an additional of 15,475 or 7,125 Ghana cedis, which is $1,515. So if the farmer adds to the citrus process, the farmer might get about $10,000 a year. Now let's look at the crop geometry, because cocoa seedlings were just interspersed within the oil palm and then the citrus. There was no geometry plan, but for the citrus and oil palm, they were well planned and grown. Now, if you look at it, you see that if the geometry is well done, like say you have 2 rows of cocoa and then 2 rows of say citrus, then you'll be protecting the cocoa. At the same time, you're giving an equal opportunity for citrus and cocoa to bear within the system, and that's very important. So you can have 2 rows of cocoa plus 1 row of citrus, which will give the protection both from climatic changes and then a good yield for the cocoa. Now, it was realized that in 2011 there was cocoa. There was from 2011, instead of the normal increment, cocoa production went down because there was a serious drought in 2011. So if you look at the table, cocoa began to increase and to go down from that year. That means that cocoa is one of the crops we call alternate bearers. And in the tropics, drought is one thing that sets alternate bearing compared to frost in the temperate regions that can bring alternate bearing to some crops like mango and apple and others. So this was certain. In fact, until then, I didn't know that crop cocoa is an alternate bearer, which can be induced through drought in the tropics. So if the row is well determined, it means you get good increment in cocoa yield, good increment in citrus, and less agrochemicals, and you may even apply less of other chemicals, which means you'll be heading towards more organically produced cocoa and citrus. Because from realization, you don't even need to use something like weedicide, control with the citrus, and wouldn't need any or much pesticide on the cocoa. And once you realize and come to this realization, it means you'll be heading towards an organically produced produce which will give people much comfort. And so the intercrop ends by saying that if the geometry of this intercrop is well determined, it means that we are going to have a situation where if we have a harsh condition like drought, if both crops have grown, you have one protecting the other and the other producing maximum crop with the intercrop. Thank you very much for hearing or listening to me. So that is how some of these intercrop permanent crops can achieve probably an organically produced crops for human consumption. Thank you very much.